Okay, we're in the middle of something. Machlokes between Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Yehuda regarding a pasuk. Okay, the pasuk was a pasuk in Malachim. The pasuk said, "Bayomahu kiddush hamelech es tocha chatzer." Shlomo, he was magdish in the chatzer asher lefnei beis Hashem. Ki asa sham es ha'oila ves hamincha ves chel v'yashlamim. Ki mizbach hanachoshes asher lefnei Hashem katon mehachil es ha'ola. So he says the mizbeach hanachoshes that's in front of Hashem was too small for the ola. Ves hamincha ves chel v'yashlamim. So we had a machlokes exactly how to interpret this pasuk. Now there is a pasuk that said that Shlomo went to Givon before the construction of the Beis Hamikdash, and he bought 1,000 karbanis on that structure. That's a given. And over here he brought 142,000. That's also a given. So 1,000 there, 142,000 over here. Okay. So the question is, what did he do? What did he do over here? What did he do over here? Is that they didn't have enough room. They didn't have enough room on the mizbeach to go ahead and bring so many karbanis. So what did he do? He was magdish the ritzbah in order to facilitate the burning of the emurim on the ritzbah, because again, otherwise you wouldn't be able to go ahead and do that. Says Rabbi Yossi, that's not pshat. Says Rabbi Yossi is that there was plenty of room. There was plenty of room. Why? Because there only was on that one by one they were able to bring 1,000, and that one by one they were able to bring 1,000, and this one was much larger. So therefore, you were able to go ahead. According again, I think the cheshbon was 400 guys. It was 20 by 20 guys. It was 20 by 20. So right, so you're able to go ahead and you can bring 1,000 on that. 11, or I think it was 11,000 on that. If you bring 11,000 on that, you can certainly bring 44,000 over here. So no, that's not. So what does the cotton means? The mizbeach and the choshes literally was too small, meaning it was time to go ahead and retire it, and they passed it. That was the machlokes between the Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yossi. In addition, they argued about the Ravua, that Rabbi Yehuda, he said the Mizbeach and the Choshes of Moshe was not 5 by 5, it was 5 quadrants, it was 10 by 10, it was 5, 5, 5, 5. In other words, he learned the Ravua from the Yecheskel's Mizbeach, that there were 4 quadrants. In other words, when it said 5, it didn't mean the total area. It was 5, and then there was 3 more, 5, 5, 5, 5, so it was 10, 10. That's how he learned it. Ravua. Rabbi Yossi learned the Ravua to teach me the ratio of 2 to 1. Just like the Mizbeach HaPnimi was 2 to 1, it's 1 by 2, right? 1 wide, 2 high. So too, says Rabbi Yossi, the Mizbeach of Moshe, of the Mizbeach of Shlomo, of Moshe was also 10. It was 10 because it was 5 wide. 5 times 2 was 10. That was the ratio. So that was the machlokes between the two of them. Then we had a machlokes about what is Yehuda. What does he learn? He says the mizbeach was 3 amas high. The mizbeach was 3 amas high, not 5. And we left off yesterday. With Rabbi Yehuda saying, according to you, Rabbi Yossi, that it was 10 amas high. Everyone was able to look in and see you doing the avodah. And it said that the curtains were only 5 amas. The curtains was only 5 amas. So you have a problem. If it's 10 and that's 5, there's no barrier to stop them from looking in. And what was the answer? That it really was crushim with 10. It was 5 amas from the crushim, so it was 15. The 5 does not mean in total. It means starting from the crushim, which were 10, which is a total of 15. A total of 15. So we're up to exactly, according to Rabbi Yehuda, who said it's 3, guys, a person is 3. So if the Mizbeach was 3 and the person was 3, then it's 6. If he holds the curtain was 5, then according to Rabbi Yehuda, also you could see what's going on in there, right? So that's where we're holding. Just bear in mind, how did we get into this? This is the craziest thing. How did we get into this? We said if the Mizbeach was Nifkam, it's puzzle. Fred the Gemara, we see that what? The Ketairis, if there was no Mizbeach, you went ahead and you did the Ketairis in the Makam of the Mizbeach. So the same thing over here. There's no Mizbeach. Nifkam, take it away and go ahead and do the spritz. Moed Rabbi Yehuda, you can't spritz. You know, you could burn on the ritzpah, but you can't spritz. Oh, you have to spritz on the Mizbeach proper. And we didn't get to the answer to that yet. Right, correct, Yehuda. We didn't get there yet. Okay, so now let's pick it up on Samich Amid Aleph. Let's pick it up on Samich Amid Aleph, 4 lines down. Ul Reb Yehuda, who's of the opinion that the Mizbeach was 3 amis high, and a person is 3 amis, and the curtains were only 5, Hamischaze Kayin, they're going to see the Kayin. And for the Gemara, and he the Kayin Mischaze, they see his head. Avoided the Biyada Loy Mischaze. Again, it's only 1 amma, so they'll see him, but they'll see his upper part of his body, but they won't see his arm working. Okay, so therefore, it's considered not a lack of tznius. Now, Bishleim Rabbi Yehuda, who said that the Ritzpah was Kodesh, in other words, they had to go ahead and be Magdish the Ritzpah in order to go ahead and bring the Karbanis. They had to be Magdish the Ritzpah in order to burn the Karbanis. So now we understand when the Pasuk says, again, this long Pasuk in Malachim, when the Pasuk says, Bayomahu Kidesh HaMelech Es Toicha Chatzer, we understand what Kidesh meant. He went ahead, and there was a process. There was in Shavuos, guys. I don't know if you remember. They walked around with Toidus and Mincha, and that's the way they magdish it. There was in Shavuos, I think Yudalid, there was a way. You don't say it's Kodesh. There was a ceremony that they had. So Bishlema, according to that man, the Amar, Rabbi Yehuda, we understand why it says Kiddush. El Rabbi Yosi, my Kiddush. What kind of Kiddush is there? Again, according to Rabbi Yosi, all they did was put away the Mizbeach of Moshe. Where was the Kiddush? And for the Gemara, Lahamid ba Mizbeach. In other words, the act of making the Mizbeach of Avonim and being Mekadesh, that place, that's the Kiddush. The Gemara we're going to see, guys. The Gemara, the Makam Mizbeach Mechuvim B'Yosa is the lashon of the Rambam in Hilchas Beis Bechir in the beginning. That's the exact spot. So we magdish that exact spot. That's the spot where Noach bought Kabbanis, where Adam bought Kabbanis, where the Akedah, Noach of Akedah, right? It's exactly that spot. Yaakov was there. Okay, so that his Kiddush Makam Bishleim Rabbi Yosi. Right, Bishlam Rabbi Yosi, Hainu Dichsiv Cotton. Very good according to Rabbi Yosi. Guys, again, it says the lashon of the pasuk is B'yomu Kiddush Hamelach es Toicha Chatzer Ashel Beis Hashem Ki Asa Sham es Ha'oila v'es Hamincha v'eschav v'yashlamim Ki Mizbach and Achayshis Ashel Hashem Cotton Mehechol. So the cotton is going on Mizbach and the Chayshis. Guys, but according to Rabbi Yosi, it's not going. Rabbi Yehuda, it's not going in Mizbeach Nechayches. It's going in Mizbeach Avanim was too small. The lashon over here is the Mizbeach Nechayches was too small. So Rabbi Yosi says, Einachinami, they put away the Mizbeach Nechayches, Moshe's Mizbeach. But according to Rabbi Yehuda, what was too small? It was the Mizbeach Avanim. It's the Mizbeach Shloimeh that was too small. So what do you mean? What does it mean over here? The Mizbeach Nechayches. What does it mean over here? The Mizbeach Nechayches. Okay. El Rabbi Yehuda, my cotton, says the Gemara Hachikamar, Mizbeach Avonim, Sha'asa Shloima, Tachas Mizbeach Hanachayches, cotton who? The Mizbeach of Shlomo that was made in the place of Mizbeach Hanachayches is cotton, is small. So if you look at Rashi, Hachikamar, Umishim de Koi b'Makam Mizbeach Hanachayches, V'chilufahu Korile Mizbeach Hanachayches. Rashi is bothered by, fellas. It says, how can you tell me it's Mizbeach Avanim? It says Mizbeach Nechayches. What it means is, since it takes the place in Mizbeach Nechayches, we're calling it Mizbeach Nechayches. But it's going on Mizbeach Avanim of Shlomo. It's going Mizbeach Avanim of Shlomo. Ubedivrei Yomim Korile Hachi Behedya V'Yas Mizbeach Nechayches Chaf Amma Archai V'Chav Amarachbay V'Makam Rachanotz. And don't think the teretz I'm giving you is the Gemara's teretz is a kvetch. In Divrei Yomim they goof for call the Mizbeach Avanim Mizbeach Nechayches because it's taking that place. So right now, everything is good. We have machlokes across the board. Now, b'maikra miflagi, they're arguing, guys. They're arguing exactly the Ravua, right? According to Rabbi Yehuda, guys, let's go through it again, guys. Yesterday's daf. According to Rabbi Yehuda, we're learning out the Mizbeach of Moshe from the Mizbeach of Yecheskel. And just like Yecheskel was Ravua, it was quarters. So too, Rabbi Yehuda's was also quarters, right? It wasn't 5, it was 20. Yeah. So very good. That's where he learns. Rabbi Yossi learns Ravua. He learns out from the Mizbeach Hapnim. He's learning out from the Mizbeach Hazav, the ratio of 2 to 1. So each one learned out a different way, right? So the one wants to know, what motivated each one to learn the way they did? Again, you could have learned out either way. So what was the motivation of either one? So that's what the Gemara is discussing right now. So Mar Sava Adonin Chutz Michutz. Rabbi Yehuda is of the opinion, I'm going to learn out the Mizbeach that's outside from the Mizbeach that's outside. Yecheskel's Mizbeach, guys, is discussing the Mizbeach that's going to be outside. He's discussing the Mizbeach that's going to be outside. So I'm telling you Mizbeach outside from Mizbeach outside. The Ein Don Chutz Mivfnim, rather than making the Rabbi Yossi's ratio of what? Of Mizbeach outside to Mizbeach inside. Just like that was 2 to 1, so the Mizbeach outside was 2 to 1. So rather stay outside and compare the two, rather than go ahead and compare outside to inside. Umasava donin kli mi kli. Now I'm going to learn out Mizbeach from what? From Mizbeach. Ve'ein donin kli mi binyan. So the Mizbeach HaZahav was a kli. The Mizbeach HaNechoshes was a kli. Vashenkin the Mizbeach of Avanim was Avanim. So therefore I'd rather learn out the Mizbeach of Moshe that was 2 to 1 ratio, the same as the Mizbeach HaZav, that was the 2 to 1 ratio. Amarava. Now we finally get to how we got to this in the first place. And believe it or not, it has nothing whatsoever to do with what we discussed. Again, we had this earlier, guys. We had this earlier in the Masechta, and you remember it. I do. I know you remember it. You can think you're saying right now. I know you're going to remember this, and you're going to learn it, and you're going to say, "I remember this." Watch. Amar Rava, Moed Rabbi Yehuda v'Dam the Tanya. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Chais echad hayimamalim midam hatarayvis. When they brought the Korban Pesach and they had a bunch of blood, what would they do? They would take a cup, they would put it on the floor, and they pour it on the mizbeach. If one of the dam fell out of one of them, in other words, they made the Kabbalah and it fell out of one of them, this is going to be machshir. Guys, remember this? I told you remember it. Yeah, right. So l'chayra, this what's the raya? Bisal kedaitach sav Rabbi Yehuda kula azara mikdasha. If he held the whole azara was kodesh, not only the burning of the murim, but even in the avad of spitzing. In other words, if he held again, we're proving that he holds that spitzing has to be on the mizbeach, and the kedushas azara would not go ahead and permit you. But if you hold that what? That the azara is kodesh, is avida le mitzvah say. You did the mitzvah. It's on the floor. It's on the floor. In other words, so it fell out. That's not considered a spritz. You know what is a spritz? When you take it and it comes to mikoyach adam. So therefore, you need that, and that's why we're doing it. But not because, and that's why it's not good. Maybe it is good, but you know why? Maybe the floor is good, but it's the chesar in the spritz because it didn't come mikoyach adam. Guys, here, maybe the floor, if you would have spritzed it would be good. And there's no difference between burning the imurim and srikas tam. Ella, why did he do this instead of just leaving it there? It's because maybe falling out of the kli on the floor is not a spritz, and you need a spritz. But in Achinami had he spritz to be okay. So it's imkain is shakle v'nishbach le'aduchte. You know what? Okay, great, guys. Do what? Look, go ahead, take the cup, throw it in the blood, and then throw the blood in that spot. It's on the floor anyway, right? Ella, when you didn't allow that, the throwing on the floor, you see, you can't do it. You had to throw it on the mizbeach. Throwing on the floor, that's your raya, that Rabbi Yehuda is of the opinion that good, it has Kedushas Azara Linyan burning, but it doesn't have Kedusha Linyan spritzing, because he's requiring spritzing on the mizbeach. Maybe Enochinami, it is a good spritz. But what's better, the floor or the mizbeach? Obviously the mizbeach, so you have no raya You know, at the end of the day, you have no raya. After all said and done, you have no raya that the floor was not kodesh linyan damim. Okay, new Gemara, similar concept. Amar Rebbe Laza. Mizbeach shenifkam ein oichlin beginoi shiore mincha. A mizbeach that was pogam. In other words, it became pogam after you burnt the kaimets. You did everything correct, and then then a chip. Some of the kain tripped and chipped the mizbeach. You would not be able to eat. You would not be able to eat the shirayim. Mizbeach, if it got chipped, you would not be able to eat the shirayim. That's why. What does the pasuk say? This is after the death of Nadav Avihu. Kichu es hamincha hanaiseres meishi Hashem v'ichlua matzois eitzel mizbeach ki kodesh kedoshim hi. That's what it says. That they should eat the shiori mincha from the miluyim. Guys, this is the miluyim. They had a mincha there. This is the day they burnt the carbon of Rosh Chodesh. You know, there's no heta to eat it. It was only for the special of Nachshain and the of the miluyim. So now, Amar Rabbi Laza, Mizbeach shenichkein oichlin beginoi shior mincha shnemar v'chlua matzois eitzel mizbeach v'chi eitzel mizbeach achlua. Do you have to eat the kodesh kedoshim eitzel mizbeach? Right, you can eat the whole azar is permitted to eat kodesh kedoshim. El bisman shu shalem v'loy bisman shu chasa. It's bisman when it's shalem and not when it's chasa. Meaning, a love you can be soymich on the mizbeach to eat when the mizbeach is what? When the Mizbeach Wad is Shalem. When the Mizbeach is not Shalem, then you can't. So that's where you learn. Now, this is only speaking about the Mincha. So we want to know, he said, Rebbe Laza said Mincha. We were assuming that who adin other Kabbanis as well. If the Mizbeach is Nifkam, you won't be able to eat. Ashton Shiori Mincha. You found the remnants of the Mincha that they could be eaten. They can't be eaten if it's Nifkam. Kodesh Kedoshim Minolan. How do you know Kodesh Kedoshim? Okay. How do you know Minalon? Tamid Leimar Kodesh Kedoshim. Right? Tamid Leimar Kodesh Kedoshim. We have Rashi says but any other place it says Kodesh, but it says Kodesh Kedoshim by what? By Mincha. It says by other Kodesh It says Kodesh Kedoshim. It doesn't say by Erla, by the way. It says by other ones Kodesh Kedoshim. Therefore, I'd learn out from there. Kodesh Kalim Minayin. How do you know Kodesh Kalim? And this is the rest of the daf, guys. This is the rest of the daf. How do you know Kodesh Kalim? You can't eat it if what? If the Mizbeach is what is Nifkam. Amar Baya. Asya midrasha et Rabbi Yossi. We're going to learn it from the drasha of Rabbi Yossi. The Tanya, Rabbi Yossi Omer. Rabbi Yossi says, Gimel Devarim, Mishum Gimel Sekanim. He said three things because what? Of three Sekanim. He said three things because of what? Three Sekanim. We only need one of them. By the way, we had the three in Masech Damakis. We had three in Masech Damakis, but in Daf Yotes, but we only need one. What's the one thing? Rabbi Yossi said, Rabbi Shmuel said, Yachol, I might think, Yala Oda Maisa Sheni Yerushalayim, V'yachlunu B'zman Hazeh. I might think in this day and age, after the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash, right, you would be able to go and eat Maisa Sheni in Yerushalayim, where it's supposed to be eaten. Says Rashi, Yachol Yala Oda Maisa Sheni, the Kesava Kedusha Sa'aretz Loi Batla. The Kedusha of Eretz Yisrael is not batal, and Memela, the crop that grows there, is shaykh to Trumas and Meiser, and therefore it's shaykh Meiser Sheni. V'tzricha afrashas Meisus min HaTorah. The Kamar Yachol Yochlenu Achsha B'Yushalayim B'lei Pidyon. Fellas, if guys, Bisman Hazeh Meiser Sheni, you'd have to be paid in Meiser Sheni. You have to be paid it. You have no choice. Again, who's going to eat it? But I'm saying if you can't eat it. Or you let it rot and say you won't be able to eat it because the chayra doesn't have, you don't have Yerushalayim, you don't have the Beis HaMikdash. That's now the Gemara is assuming that you could, and now the Gemara says when he says you might think you could, meaning you're going to tell me you can't. Says the Gemara vidinhu that you can't. In other words, I don't need a pasuk to tell me that you can't. In Svara, I would say you can't. In Svara, I would say you cannot eat Maisa Sheni. Why would I say that? V'dinhu that you can't. Bechar toyin havas makayim. A bechar that is tamim, you have to bring to the Beis Hamikdash, shechted, and bring it as a carbon. Umaisa toyin havas makayim, and Maisa Sheni also requires one to go up to the Beis Hamikdash and bring it as a carbon. Ma bechar eina ela b'fnei abayis. Bechar is only b'fnei abayis. The Gemara is going to ask a question, why are you so sure about that? Why are you so sure? You're taking it as a fait accompli that the Bechar cannot be brought bisman hazeh. And we'll see, we'll ask on that, why not? Af Maisa einu ela b'fnei abayis. So too Maisa is only in front of the bias. So too Maisa is only in front of the bias. So, Vidinhu, that what? Just like Bechor you can't, Maisa you can't. You know why you can't bring Bechar? Because it's a carbon. You just have to eat. So I'll disprove you from Bikurim. The first fruits that of the 7 species we bring up, we put it in front of the Mizbeach for the Kayin. You'll say Mal Bikurim Shekain Tuin Hanacha. You need Hanacha in front of what? Of the Mizbeach. Okay, so now, fellas, watch. We're going to bring a pasuk to tell me Maisa Bisman Hazeh you can't. Says the Gemara, why would I need a pasuk? I can learn out from Bechar. Just like Bechar you can't, so to Maisa you can't. No, I can't learn Bechar. Bechar needs Imurim, and it needs what? It needs Srika Mizbeach. Bikurim Yochiach. Bikurim requires Hanacha of, right? So therefore, I cannot learn out from Bikurim and Bechar to Meiser, and therefore I would think Meiser you could. I have no source to tell me no. Now, therefore, I need a pasuk to tell me no. Tamid Loimar ve'vesim shama, the long pasuk. It says ve'vesim shama. You should bring there aleseichem v'zevchechem v'esmasor seichem v'estrumas yedchem v'nidrechem v'nivoseichem u'bechoris bekarchem v'tzonchem. You should bring there your Meiser, and we can compare Meiser. We're going to make a hekish. Makish Meiser lebechor. Ma bechor eine ela b'fnei abayis, af Meiser ela b'fnei abayis. Good? Good. Okay, now, before we go further, let's go over what we just said, and we're going to ask a kasha. Guys, eye contact. Says Rabbi Shmuel, I need a pasuk, a hekish, from bechor to Meiser to tell me, just like bechor is a no-no, so too Meiser is a no-no. Good. Says the Gemara, why do I need a pasuk for? I can learn it out from bechor. Directly. Remember Tzinu, Bechar no, Maisa no. Now Bechar needs Mizbeach, right? It needs a Srika, it needs a Murim. Okay. Well, I'll learn that from Bikurim. Bikurim doesn't need Imurim. Well, it needs the Mizbeach. Good. So now, since I can't learn from here, it must be, I would think Maisa you could. Talmud Laimar, you can't. Guys, we've been learning a long time. When you try to remember Tzinu from one, and then you have another, and what do? You put it back in the hopper, and you say, 1 second, why didn't I need a pasuk to tell me that? Why didn't I learn it out from the Mehat Sad, from Bechar and Bikurim? Why do you say Bechar? And Murim? Bikurim Yochiach. Hanachas Mizbeach, Bechar Yochiach. V'chazar Adin, you can't do Bizman Hazeh, and so too Maisa, you can't do Bizman Hazeh. So why do you need a pasuk for? Good, that's the Gemara's kasha. Says the Gemara. Fred the Gemara kasha. V'nahader dina v'nesi v'mehat sad. Go put it back in the din between Bechar and Bikurim and learn it mehat sad. And for the Gemara, Mishum Dekel Mifrich Malet Sad Hashava Shebehen Bikurim and Bechar Sheken Yesh Bem Sad Mizbeach. You have what? You have Sad Mizbeach. Okay. So now, we have a pasuk to tell me Bisman Hazeh Maisa not. Now, fellas, why is Maisa Kodesh? Why is Maisa Sheni? Because you hold what? You hold that Eretz Yisrael is Kodesh, and once we consider Eretz Yisrael, it's Kedusha. Okay, that's one inyan. What about the Makam HaMikdash? What about the Makam HaMikdash? In other words, there's 2 Kedushas, separate Kedushas, that the Makam HaMikdash and Eretz Yisrael. So obviously you're holding Eretz Yisrael is Kodesh, or else you wouldn't have a Shaila. You wouldn't have Ma'aser Sheni in the first place, right? Guys, when the Shaila is about Ma'aser Sheni Bisman Hazeh, clearly what do you see? Okay, so now look at the Gemara. My Kasavar. Ikasavar Kedusha Rishayna Kitchel Shaitav Kitchel Lavai. Guys, of course we hold that. Don't, or else what's your Shaila? If it's not Kodesh, there's no Ma'aser Sheni, right? Guys, if it's not Kodesh, there's no Ma'aser Sheni. Look at Rashi. Okay. Ikasava Kedusha Rishayna shall base kacha shall bias kacha l'shaita v'kitcha l'asalav. Rashi added one word, guys. What word did he add? Shall bias. You see the word? Look at Agamara and look at the word Rashi. Kitcha Rishayna kitcha l'shaita. What does Rashi say? Kedusha Rishayna shall bias kitcha l'shaita v'kitcha l'asalav. Right, guys. There's no shaila according to Rashi about kedusha sa'aretz. Kedusha sa'aretz is there. The whole shaila is what? On kedusha's bias. So that changes everything. So now, if you hold that the kedusha of the bias is there, then what? Then afilu b'chor nami. Rashi, afilu b'chor nami, afilu b'chor yakriv. You should be able to makriv it v'yachal and eat it. The man de islay kitcha la'asad lavoi. Islay shemakriven afapish ein bias, because the one who holds that what it's kitcha that is kedusha to the Beis Hamikdash, you can be makriv afapish ein bias, even there's no Beis Hamikdash. Kidamina Megillah. So guys, fellas, this whole share was predicated upon one thing, that you know b'chor you can't eat, and therefore just like you can't eat it, I shouldn't eat ma'aser, right? 1 second. If you hold the kedusha of the Beis Hamikdash is still there, you can eat a b'chor. Because the man the Amu says that kedusha, you can even be makriv to kabbanis there. Good. So your whole premise doesn't start because you could eat it. Good. So again, if you hold that kedusha, Rashi is beautiful. That one little word, kitcha rishayna, kitcha bias the shaita, kitcha bias the shaita, the kitcha lavai afilu b'chor nami, you should be able to eat. V'ikasava loy kitcha l'asad lavai. And if you hold what? Loy kitcha asalavai, afilu b'chor nami tiboy, you should have the same shakla. Guys, in other words, if it has the kedusha, then you should be able to eat. And if it doesn't have the kedusha, you should have the same shaila. Why do you ask the shaila by Maisa? You could ask the shaila by Bechar. Rashi. V'ikasava loy kitcha afilu b'chor nami tiboy. V'ikasava kedusha's bias. Again, Rashi says it openly. The kedusha's bias, but la. Since you don't need the bias, so the shaila is right. He asked the shaila by Maisa, since it doesn't need the bias, right? By afilu b'chor ki agavna nami tiboyle kigoin. Now, guys, 1 second. Guys, look at me. If you want to know if it's not kodesh, it's considered Fnei Hashem by Maisa. Good. And you can ask the shaila by Bechar, but if it's no kedusha, how can you bring the Bechar? Bishleim, if it's kodesh, you can bring it. If it's not kodesh, you can't. So what do you mean Bechar mi boile? Here's the shaila. You did zrika. There was a Beis Hamikdash. You did zrika, and they destroyed it. Could you eat the meat? In other words, you brought it already. Now the shaila is on the achila. Can I eat the basar or not? Again, if it's kitcha l'shaita, you can bring it even without the Beis Hamikdash. If it's not kitcha, of course you can't. So if you can't, guys, what's the Gemara shaila b'char mi boy? It must be a hechetimtza that you brought it correct, and now the shaila is on achila. So is it l'fnei Hashem by what? By b'char, and therefore you can't learn b'char from Maisa. So in other words, Mamarashach, you took as a fait accompli that b'char you can't eat, and as a result, you said Maisa too, right? Maybe not. So it says the Gemara. So Nachamo. And what would the shaila be? If you brought it when the Beis Hamikdash was standing, you did this rika, you burnt the emurim, and now you have what? And now you have meat. Can you eat the meat? Ravina says Ravina, lo'ilam kasava loy kitcha. Lo'ilam kasava loy kitcha, it's not kodesh. You want to know, guys, You want to know why Bechor, you know for sure Bechor not? Guys, again, we're starting with a given that Bechor not. The Gemara is questioning that. Well, Bechor, yes. And the answer is, I know Bechor not from the following. Right? You did the Zrika before the Churban. V'chor of Abayis. V'dayim bisroi kayim. V'ishkis bisroi lidamai. Now, why does he make a hekesh bas ladam? You know when you can eat the basa? Only when you can sprinkle the dam. But since the base of the mitzvah was destroyed and you can't sprinkle the dam, then you can't eat the meat. Ma damim mizbeach, af bisroi mizbeach, v'yasi maisa v'yalach mibachar. Okay, v'gshmak. Okay, guys, so here's what we did. We did one thing. Here we started with something and we ended with something. We started that you can't eat a bachar. You can't eat a bachar. And just like you can't eat a bachar, you can't eat maisa. And why? Because we have a pasuk that makes the hekesh. Good? Pasuk makes the hekesh. The Gemara's question is, how do you know you can't eat a bachar? If it's kitcher, he's trying to kitcher the saita, kitcher it's kodesh, you could eat the bachar. And if it's not kodesh, then you have the same shaila by bachar as you would by maisa. And what would the case be? The case would be where you brought it when the base of English was standing, and you have the meat. Now, guys, that's such a crazy case. Think about it. If you bought a bachar, you can eat a bachar for 2 days and a night. So the base of English was destroyed on a Wednesday, you could still eat it on a Thursday. So it's not like it's not a far-fetched case. So therefore, the Gemara answers, you know how you know you can't eat a bachar, even though what? Even though the meat is around and you did a good zrika, because you could compare it to the dam. Dam can when you can do the zrika, you can eat the meat. You can't do the zrika. The base of English was destroyed. Good.
Were they still bringing karbanos till the end? That would imply that they literally till the last day almost, or 2 days, they were.
Of course they would. Brought the Kabbalah Talmud all the time. Again, it's all a hypothetical case. I mean, again, you don't have to. Okay, so now we know from a hekesh. We know from a hekesh that what? That you can't eat bachar because it's makish to the dam. And now I'm making a hekesh from bachar to what? To maisa. What are you all going to ask me? Box number one. What's box number one? Hekesh to hekesh doesn't work. Everyone remembers box number one. Like, let's make a deal behind door number one, right? Monty Stern. Anyway. Monty Stern. I meant Monty Stern. How many people have weedy pennies in their pocket? We have weedy pennies. For my mother, I found 5 weedy pennies. It says 1940. I have 2 1944s. If it was a year later, a year earlier, I'd be the richest person in the world. Right? They were all tin. The 1943s were tin because of the war effort. Yeah. They made like mistake 5 copper 1943s. They were each one's worth $1 zillion. Yeah. Like a crazy amount. It's like the most. It's like the biggest mistake ever. So, but I wouldn't have them because everyone knows where they are. Okay. Anyway, we have Torah. Right? Something you learn from a hekesh, which is bechar from dam. Chayzim alami behekesh bechar to maisa. Fred Gemara maisa dagan chulin hu. Maisa dagan is chulin. Fred Gemara nichlamani amabasa lamed aslinon. The thing that you learn out, like you're learning out maisa from bechar. Almani amabasa melamed aslinon. But the one that says you go after the melamed, the one that teaches, mayikal meimar. Because the one that teaches is speaking about dam and bechar. So and basar, Michael Meima, damu basar choda milsahi. Damu basar is considered one thing. So therefore, in answer to the question, guys, if the mizbeach is nifkam, you can't eat mincha, you can't eat kachim kedashim that's mukish lemincha, and you can't eat kachim kalim because we learn it out from the pasuk of Vevesim shama l'sechem, and we learn out from Bechar that you can't. Okay, shir will be tomorrow morning. B'ezras Hashem.